you boys and girls out there. This is Mimi Rosie Red, and I'm coming to you from Fort Thomas, Kentucky. I'm just a little sad today because today was supposed to be the opening day parade in downtown Cincinnati. I used to work in Cincinnati, and I always went to the parade. I bet some of you guys went to the parade too with your parents and had a really good time. You know, I used to play baseball when I was young, actually softball, and my husband played baseball. I bet some of you guys play softball or baseball or t-ball, and it is really fun. Well, the big parade got canceled today, and so did the game. We're going to have to watch old games on TV, but we can still have a good time doing that. As you can see, I've got some of my Reds paraphernalia here, just so that we can have a good time thinking back on the parade. We'll have to make our own parades, maybe in our backyard with our parents. So I guess you can tell our book today is going to be about baseball. Let's get started. The book we're going to read today is called Curious George at the Baseball Game. So, I guess you guys all know about Curious George. He's been around for a while. He's a very curious little monkey. He gets into all kinds of trouble. So let's get started. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George and the man with the yellow hat were going to the ballpark to watch a baseball game. George couldn't wait to see what it would be like. At the baseball stadium, the man with the yellow hat introduced George to his friend, the head coach of the Mudville Miners. He had arranged for George to watch the game from the dugout. What a treat! George got a Miners cap to wear. Then he sat on the bench with the players. He felt just like part of the team. The players cheered a Miners home run. George cheered too. The players groaned at a Miners strikeout. George groaned too. Then George noticed one of the Miners coaches making funny motions with his hands. He touched his cap. He pinched his nose. He's dusted off his shoulder. Huh, thought George. Maybe this was another way to cheer on the team. So George made some hand motions too. He tugged at his ear. He rubbed his tummy. He scratched his chin. Just then, a Miners player got tagged out at second base. The player pointed at George. "That monkey," he said, "he distracted me with his funny signs." Oops, the coach had been giving directions to the base runner. George's hand signals had taken his mind off the play. Poor George. He had only been trying to be part of the team. Instead, the Miners had lost a chance to score. Oh, that George, he's always getting into some kind of trouble, isn't he? George watched the rest of the game from the stadium seat, or at least he tried to watch the game. There was so much going on around him. There was food for sale. There were shouting fans. There was a woman holding a big camera. See her right there holding the camera? There's kids there. They're trying to get on camera. That's fun to do. The woman pointed her camera at some fans, and look, those fans waved out from the huge screen on the ballpark scoreboard. See him up there? Everybody likes to be on the big scoreboard. George had never been on TV before. He was very curious. What would it be like to see himself on the big screen? He soon learned the answer. It was exciting. See all the kids? They're up on the big screen. George likes seeing himself on the screen. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen now. "Hey you," shouted the camera woman. "Cut that out." Uh-oh. George is on top of the camera. Uh-oh. George had gotten a little carried away. He ran off with an angry camera woman hot on his heels. I'm not very good at turning these pages sometimes. In the busy stadium breezeway, George hid behind a popcorn cart. He waited for the camera woman to pass by. Just then, George heard a noise behind him. It was quiet. It was quite a little noise, like a sigh or a sniff. What could have made that noise, George wondered. George turned. There behind the cart was a little boy crying. George wanted to help. He crept out of the hiding place and over to the boy. Aha! There you are, shouted the camera woman, spotting George. Then the camera woman noticed the teary-eyed boy. She seemed to forget that she was mad at George. I'm lost, the boy said. I can't find my dad. If only there were a way to let the boy's dad know where he was. But there was a way. The camera woman aimed her lens at the little boy. And there he was on the big screen for everyone to see, including his dad. See the sign? Is this your child or your monkey? Within minutes, the boy and his father were together again, and the man in the yellow hat had come to find George. I can't thank you enough, the boy's father said to the cameraman. The cameraman shrugged. Don't thank me, she said. She patted George on the back. It was this little fellow who found your son. George was the star of the day. Well, George got into a lot of trouble at the ballpark that day, but in the end, he helped that little boy find his dad. Wasn't that nice? Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's story. We'll have another one tomorrow. But just remember, maybe tonight you can turn on a game, an old Reds game, and watch it. Hope you all enjoyed this. Have a great evening.